circuit is about to come alive with the roar of pure thoroughbred machines. Alan Simonson off pole position, Scott Bargwanna alongside him, then Darcy Russell, Mark Eddy, Ross Lilly, John Tulin, Hector Lester, Adam Wallace rounding out the top 8, and Simon Middleton had gearbox problems in the previous race. He'll start out of 16th spot. It should be a real ripper of a race. Weather conditions here changing by the day and by the hour, literally. Down through turn 1, Simonson leads them away. Hector Lester all over the joint on the first turn.
And Taplin launches the 911, as you can see off the curbs. A much tidier start from the GT field. The clerk of the course has probably read the riot act to them, or the bank managers have come in and given them the damage bill.
Dave Stevens right up behind Hector Lester in this opening lap, and Bargwanna does the same to Alan Simonson. They're staying absolutely nose to tail.
Yeah, Scott Bargwanna realises that early in this race he needs to get past Alan Simonson, because once the tyres come up to temperature on that Ferrari, Simonson's able to control the pace. But Scott is in the tow right now as they approach turn 8.
I'm glad you could see him hiding behind the Ferrari. I couldn't. It was unbelievable. Look at the size difference. You know he's going to have a go under brakes. Falls out of the slipstream, but no, Simonson equal to the task.
Yeah, on that particular occasion, Simonson was right up to speed on the brakes, and Scott Bargwanna had nowhere to go. Darcy Russell still in third position, doing a great job.
John Tulin up in that front-running top 5 as well. Simonson lets it slide wide. There's Tulin, Mark Eddy right behind him. Hector Lester, problems.
Middleton.
We've had it coming together out there on the circuit.
Yeah, a bit of a shame there. Middleton, who's been caught at the rear of the field in race 2 as a result of those gearbox problems, has actually come together with one of his stable mates, you should say, down in the turn 9.
And it's always very difficult when you're coming from behind, isn't it? You're prone to any problems out there, getting caught up in them.
Yeah, particularly in that area where you come from such a high speed down to the slowest corner on the track.
And that's the great thing about the Clipsal circuit. You've got some very slow corners, but you've got some very fast ones as well.
Throw a few bumps in there and this becomes one hell of a driver's place. I can tell you, it funnels you in, it sucks you in for speed, and every now and again you miss your braking points and it all goes horribly wrong. But these two guys continue to do a fantastic job, and the flames continue to fly out the back of that little Lotus.
And there's plenty online here this weekend in the Clipsal Race Australian GT Championship. Championship points on the line. Alan Simonson's already said he may not be doing the entire season, so just winning the races is not the biggest priority. Collecting those points is, and Bargwanna wants to do that, doesn't he? That's the second time coming down to turn 9. He's had a look.
He's going to need to be a little bit closer as he comes into turn 9. That Ferrari really starts to stretch its legs after turn 8, and if Scott wants to get past, there's going to need to be a big lunge, because we know Alan and the Ferrari are very strong under brakes.
Just caught a shot of Ross Lilly. Looks like he's getting a bit racy out there too. He looms right up behind Dave Stevens in the Ferrari.
Yeah, and the cars continue to pour through. Scott Bargwanna is getting even closer to Alan Simonson, particularly coming into the last corner. I think the only place that he can make that move is at the end of the straight, but wow, what a great race. This is a truly unbelievable performance.
He's having a lot of fun out there too. At the end of race 1, there were big smiles on his face. He knows that it's a David and Goliath battle, but he's equal to the task.
Yeah, up to this point, he spent most of his time during and the back of the car steps out as he launches it off that apex curve, but Scott's spent a little bit of this time in this car with the Enduros and thoroughly enjoying his opportunity to race at the front in the Australian GT Championship.
And why wouldn't you? I mean, you're at one of the best circuits that the circus comes to. Problems for the 30 car.
Smoke as well coming out the back. That won't be good.
Adam Wallace, who finished very well up in the top 8 at the end of race 1, finds himself in problems, big problems in fact, in race 2 on the card.
Hopefully that smoke was just a tyre rubbing after some sort of suspension failure. But Scott Bargwanna a little bit further away. I think Simonson might be comfortable with the race pace that he's setting at the moment.
Be good if he can get back out for race 3 in the Advanced Energy Australian GT Championship. Have a go at the Lamborghini. Gee, that was close.
That's what you like to see. Viper, Ferrari, Lamborghini, all within inches of each other at the slowest part of the track. These cars are great at 180, 190 kilometres an hour, but it's 40, 50, 60 k's where they get real close.
Oh, he's walking away looking very disconsolate about the whole caper, so we'll have to wait and see what happens. But look at this, Simonson's been able to pull away from Bargwanna.
And look at the top of the screen, the battle for third position between Darcy Russell. Darcy Russell's in the wall.
Darcy has looped it and gone into the wall on the exit of the hairpin. That's really disappointing. That was a great three-way dice for the final podium spot, but Darcy Russell well, he's going to have to get out the checkbook at the end of this one.
Oh, completely facing the wrong way. It's almost like he'd either hooked the car up on the curbs or copped a big serve from behind to turn him around. That's very unfortunate. It was a great weekend to that point for Darcy Russell.
Well, Bargwanna trying to hang on to the back of Alan Simonson, the Cooper's pilot, out in front. Now, will this bring out a safety car? That's the next question. Darcy is still in the car. You can see the official saying, come on, hop out and get over the concrete wall. He still has some time before Alan Simonson gets down to that part of the track. Race 2 of the Australian GT Championship currently underway at the moment, and look at the gap. Simonson's really put the pedal down this time.
Yeah, he's got his nose to the grindstone right now and managed to pull a significant gap from Scott Bargwanna. I'm a little surprised at that. Maybe Scott's worn his tyres over the first couple of races and hasn't got anything left, or perhaps he's even decided to settle for second best, but at this point Simonson has this race well and truly in control.
The thing is, though, you can never count Scott Bargwanna out. Mark Eddy's not all that far behind Scott Bargwanna either, so you've got to keep a very close eye right down to the checkered flag on exactly how this one's going to pan out.
Yeah, but it's always about lap times, it's always about consistency, and Alan is doing that right now. He's just putting in the hard yards, and that's giving him that nice bumper to Scott Bargwanna, who is maintaining that gap. So, you know, maybe there's a little bit of games, and I'm sure you can see from the battle for third position that this is definitely not over yet.
Well, it's actually a change in position. You've got Julian in front of Mark Eddy, then Hector Lester and Ross Lilly. Look at these guys. How good is this? Lester runs wide. Lilly sneaks up the inside, says, thank you very much. I'll take that.
Unfortunately, safety car has not come out. They've managed to run that last corner under full course yellow. So good news for race fans. This race continues, even with that stricken car firmly wedged against the wall.
Well, yes, and it's not a nice sight, is it? A Viper up against a concrete wall.
Mind you, I can say that I've seen the back of that Viper enough times in my racing career, so to see it facing that way, well, you know, it's one of those things.
Don't be like that. Simonson out in front and doing a good job at the moment, maintaining the gap, and that's exactly what he's doing in the Cooper's car at the moment, just maintaining the gap. But this is where the real interest is. Look at Ross Lilly. He has really got some momentum going at the moment.
And those guys are just tagging onto the back of John Tulin, using him as the rabbit in front of the dogs, trying to hunt him down and get past him. But that could be the catalyst they need just to get to that next level of lap times.
And it is the battle for the final podium spot, don't forget. It's right up for grabs. John Tulin leading that charge at the moment, but with laps still to go, Mark Eddy, Ross Lilly sitting right behind. This could go anyway.
What a fantastic picture. Ferrari, Lambo, Lambo, Ferrari through turn 8 at Clipsal in Australia. As the move down the inside, John Tulin blocks. That was a nice piece of defensive driving on that occasion.
And back of the Lambo steps out under gas. Well, that's enough to wake up Mark Eddy, I dare say.
Yeah, that's not a thing that you like to do in a Lambo too often, because they can be unpredictable at times, but it just goes to show how hard these boys are pushing for that last podium position.
And how well Mark Eddy's come to terms with the Lamborghini too.
Yeah, the car control under brakes mid-corner on throttle can be very, very difficult on the bumps, and that was a great show of car control.
Well, there's no problems with car control up front. Alan Simonson doing everything he needs to do. He's not moving around. He's not braking too late and doing anything wrong. Scott Bargwanna doing all he can. I think he's probably resigned himself to the fact that second's probably going to be the best that we can achieve in race 2.
Yeah, it doesn't stop him using the curbs, though, as you mentioned earlier. Scott is obviously having such a tremendous time. Al's just got out of the throttle a little bit there, and Scott's just closed up a bit, but there's no doubt that Simonson does have this race in control.
Well, you'd be tempted to go up to ask Scott, what does the Lotus brake like? But I think it's probably only about 2 turns on the circuit that he does. He just carries so much corner speed, and that's the experience that you were talking about earlier on, Peter.
But have a look at this battle. I'll get back to that, Grant. Ferrari, Lambo, Lambo, Ferrari again. Tulin is on a charge, and now the Lambos have a look up the inside, and John goes defensive. Perhaps a little early on the defense that time, because the Lambo should get a good run at him up towards the last few corners.
Let's see what he can do. On to the start finish straight comes Alan Simonson. Down across the start finish line. Heads off off on the final lap. Scott Bargwanna only has one more lap to try and make up that gap, which is almost insurmountable at this stage.
And that battle for third position is really going to hot up in the last, or the second half of this particular lap. The boys know that the last step is there for the taking.
And turn 9, you know somebody's going to have a go. It's just a must in motorsport.
Down the inside, they could be 4 wide if they wanted to. The inside line will be the one to take, but it's going to depend on the run they get out of turn 7 and then the balance on the car through turn 8 before that big dive under brakes.
Well, we're getting closer to that part of the circuit. Simonson showing them a clean set of hills at the moment. Number 1 Cooper's car has been dominant in the first race and very dominant in the second. Here comes Bargwanna down through turn 8, the hard sweeper, and there's not much you can do about this lead.
No, the lead is unsurmountable at this point in time. All that Scott can do is manage to keep it off the walls, keep it off the bumps and keep it off the curbs, and he'll be there. But this is what we're waiting to see. Third position up for grabs.
Mark Eddy right up under the rear wing of the Ferrari of John Chulin. Chulin goes defensive, Eddy goes even tighter. Let's see what they can do down into turn 9. It's going to be status quo. John Chulin, the industry central machine, doing a great job under pressure. Speaking of which, look at this. They've closed right up, but it's all too late. Simonson takes the checkered flag in race 2. Scott Bargwanna hangs on for second spot. John Chulin finishes in third. Then Mark Eddy, Ross Lilly, Hector Lester. And very, very interesting grid indeed. You can guarantee that this is going to be one of those races where they're going to be pushing very hard. Championship points wise, Alan Simonson out in front of Craig Baird, John Caius, Ross Lilly, Peter Lucas, Ash Samadi in 6th spot, Nick Kennedy and Caceres rounding out the top 8. That's championship points wise at the end of the previous round. But this is the way the grid looks. Alan Simonson on pole, Darcy Russell alongside him. Great to see him back in a race car out here at the circuit. Scott Bargwanna returning to the series. Mark Eddy there. There's John Caius out of 9th spot, way back. Peter Pontus out of 12th. Cook will start out of 14th. Dave Stevens, he's way back on the grid as well. They come up onto the start-finish straight. The safety car has pulled into pit lane. We're about to go racing in race 1 of the weekend. Who will it be down to turn 1? Simonson puts the power down. Darcy Russell gets a blinder of a start. He's going to lead them down into the first turn. What a great run by Darcy Russell. No, Simonson squeezes through, and John Chulin's around and into the wall as well.
Always going to be difficult for Alan Simonson. The horsepower on the Viper was going to get through. We missed the action through turn 1, but Simonson somehow got to the front, and John Chulin in the wall, but has recovered.
Caius going hard early on. He knows that on this opening lap is the best opportunity to make up positions, and there's plenty of positions to be made up. Look at this, Bargwanna looking up the inside of Lilly. Oh, the giant killer, as I love to call it. The Lotus not prepared to pay any credit to the bigger horsepower machines.
Ferrari Viper, Ferrari Lambo, Lotus, all going hammer and tong around the streets of Clipsal. Here's the start. Simonson